morning, good afternoon, good evening. Many people will agree that corruption is one of the biggest problems in Zimbabwe. In 2017, when the military coup was staged, the people were told that the primary purpose of the coup was to remove the corrupt individuals who surrounded Mugabe. And this is a cartoon of the Zimbabwe Daily, reflecting the realities on the ground. In 2017, yes, one can see Mugabe and a few around him with their loot. 7 years down the line, 2024, we can see Mnangagwa and those around him with bags and bags of the loot. There is no denying that corruption during Mugabe's time was bad, but it has gone into overdrive under Mnangagwa. This is the Zanu PF way of dealing with corruption. When Mnangagwa came into office, he promised to stamp out corruption. There will be zero tolerance on corruption. And instead, corruption has got even worse. Here is a video clip of Botswana answer to the same problem of corruption.
We also have a forensic audit that is going on, whose outcomes will be brutal and devastating, I can tell you. Anybody who has stolen anything from the government must start running now. It is vicious, it is serious. It is a process that is not controlled by me. Experts, crack experts who have the skills and the expertise to identify the problems and to trace where the assets have gone. Anybody who has had anything untoward to do with government resources must know that the most stunning moment of comeuppance is around the corner. And we took this approach so that it doesn't become a political witch hunt. Nobody says, well, they persecuted him when he was in the opposition, now it's payback time. There's no payback. Objective, scientific, proper, professional process that determines what happened. And we're not doing it to punish anybody, we're doing it in order to correct and to lay down some bright lines about not only those who were there before, but those who are there now and those who will come in the future.
Who could argue with that? I think many people in Zimbabwe would accept and realize that in Zimbabwe, this has not been possible. Stamping out corruption has proven to be a bridge too far. Simply because we do not have a democratic system. Those in positions of power and authority are not accountable to the people. This is at the heart of our problem. Zimbabwe is not a democratic nation. It's amazing that 45 years after independence, we still have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. It is fair to say, and I've said it on this platform, that the people realized that Zanu PF was never going to allow people to hold free, fair, and credible elections, have a meaningful say in the governance of the country. From the first election in 1980, Zanu PF, Mugabe, and these Zanu PF cronies decided that they have the divine right to rule the country. And to make sure that that right is not threatened, they've denied the people a meaningful say in the governance of the country. That has been at the heart of it. It took the nation nearly 20 years to realize that Zanu PF was a party of thugs, corrupt, incompetent, and worst of all, who were prepared to ride roughshod over the people's freedoms and basic human rights, including the right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. But by then, Zanu PF was deeply entrenched. The people decided, in fact, they had two choices. The only way they will get Zanu PF out of office is either by taking up arms and going into another liberation war, or they should risk the anchor of the regime by electing opposition leaders whose number one task would be to implement the democratic changes necessary to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. The nation chose the latter. And I think it was a wise choice. The only problem we had is that the party, MDC, Morgan Tsvangirai and his MDC friends, who were formed on the wave of the nation's demands for democratic change, and they even named their own party the Movement for Democratic Change, have turned out to be corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless. In 25 years of MDC CCC on the political stage, they failed to implement even one token democratic change. This is why we are where we are. They had the golden opportunity to implement those reforms during the GNU of 2008 to 2018. They failed to implement even one reform. Not even one token reform. Mugabe bribed them with the trappings of high office. And Tsvangirai and company forgot about the reforms. This situation has been compounded by the people themselves. The people themselves have failed to realize that MDC CCC sold out on implementing reforms. Even now, with the benefit of hindsight, Many Zimbabweans out there still do not realize that the primary purpose of the GNU was to implement the reforms. It's not rocket science. Indeed, ever since the GNU debacle, MDC leaders have participated in flawed elections out of greed. Knowing fully well that Zanu PF was rigging the elections, and knowing fully well that participating will only give Zanu PF legitimacy. The tragedy is the people themselves have failed to realize that MDC leaders had sold out. And that failure has meant they've kept supporting the MDC, CCC, who were participating in flawed elections to perpetuate the dictatorship. If we are serious about ending corruption in Zimbabwe, we have got to be serious about ending the dictatorship. Some people get confused and they think, oh, no, Zanu PF is the party in government, so we must look to them to end the dictatorship. That decision was made in 1999. If you want Zanu PF to implement the reforms, then you have to take up arms and fight them, because Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. I don't know how many times someone has got to repeat that for some people to finally get it. If we want Zanu PF, we expect Zanu PF to reform itself, you can forget it, because Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. We have to take up arms. We didn't have to take up arms. What we opted for is to elect an opposition that will, when in government, implement those reforms. The MDC CCC leaders had the opportunity to implement those reforms. Your failure to accept that MDC leaders have failed is at the heart of why we are stuck with this dictatorship. It is amazing how Zimbabweans have literally struggled to accept that Chamisa is a liar. Even with all the benefits of hindsight, they cannot accept the reality that Chamisa is a liar and a con man.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza nawe akomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza nawe akomana.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election, $15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
Well, that is the truth. Chamisa is a liar and a con man. The failure by the opposition to implement the reforms to end the dictatorship is at the heart of why we are stuck with the dictatorship. Chamisa and company will con the nation to participate in 2028 on the basis of another idiotic lie that they have plugged the vote rigging loopholes and perpetuate the dictatorship. There will be no meaningful political change in Zimbabwe until we cure ourselves of the curse of rigged elections and bad governance. Countries like Botswana are doing very well, thank you, because they've got a regime that is democratically accountable to the people. There's nothing secret about it. If we want the same, we have to end the curse of rigged elections and bad governance. If we want the same, we have to elect competent opposition leaders who will implement the democratic reforms. MDC, CCC have sold out on that point. And to keep on pretending that they will somehow accomplish that task is naive, to say the very least. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.